Hi, this is James Melendez, James the Wine Guy, here to celebrate unusual white wines. Now, we always have the usual suspects, the Chardonnay, the Sauvignon Blanc, wonderful varietals, international varietals, and well-produced around the world. And yet, somehow, I think other wines, unusual white wines, get left out of that mix. And I'm not sure if that's because there's that just familiarity that just breeds that desire to keep having the same varietals over and over again, or maybe that's that fear of maybe investing a few dollars to see, oh gosh, what if I don't like that wine? But these wines here are really approachable and reasonably priced that if you didn't like them, it's not a huge loss. But you know, if you're, I think one way to get into white wines, unusual white wines, is to buy them for maybe an event you're having and being able to taste them at that event because you may not enjoy it, but maybe your guest does. This way, it's a win-win for everyone. So I think it's one way to get into tasting unusual white wines. Now here, we have 4 wines. I'll talk about each of these individually. First, we'll begin with the Laixas Albarino from Galicia, Spain. It is really such a fantastic go-to wine where to enjoy with seafood. I mean, I imagine this with clam chowder, with shrimp and oysters. It would be just superbly excellent. Now, for me, it's one way to not just begin a meal, but it's a year-round experience. That white wine is not subjugated just to warm weather seasons or just picnic season or picnic time, but a year-round experience. And I definitely urge people to give that a try. Make that part of your wine experience. If you're having a red wine, serve a white wine to begin with, and maybe enjoy it with your soup or your salad, and then cascading to the red wine for your entree and so forth. But it is really the highlight of life is to try things that are unusual and different. So I think there's something in it for everyone. Here we have a Viura, and this is from Rioja, from Bodegas Francos Españolas. And this wine is a really signature wine. It's in the pantheon of wines in Rioja, but you'll find it in other regions in Spain. I'm thinking Catalonia is a high producer of Viura as well. So it's one of these wines I sometimes think collectively of Spain as being a red wine nation, yet there's Viura, which I think is not seen its entree, shall we say, to the wine tasting world. But I think you will see more of this in the future. Here is a interesting wine. This is a blend of Chenin Blanc and Viognier from Pine Ridge, and they've been doing this since 1979. And I think it's really getting on the tail end of when Chenin Blanc was a go-to wine in the 70s, and it was highly produced and highly marketed. And you can see that in commercials, older commercials from the 70s, and see that was, you know, kind of that quote-unquote trendy wine. But for me, Chenin Blanc is just a go-to wine, and with its admixture of a Viognier, I think really creates complexity and beauty in this wine, and a really nice food wine. I'll talk about these wines individually in separate videos, but I just wanted to do this one video on unusual wines. I've talked about this wine before and rated this wine. This is a wine that is from Willamette Valley in Oregon, and it's Montanori, and this wine is a Müller-Thurgau from Willamette Valley again. Now that's unusual. I saw this wine, and I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, what is Müller-Thurgau? I know it's grown in the U.S., but it's really such a varietal that you're going to find in Middle Europe. You're going to find in Germany, in Switzerland, in parts of Italy, in Alto Adige, and Austria. So for me to find this, I thought this is really cool. This is just amazing to see this. That diversity is also in the United States. And this Müller-Thurgau, this is a semi-sweet wine. And for me, I'm going to serve this with, I think, white vanilla buttercream frosting cupcakes because I think that experience would go well together. So probably for me, this would be what I call a dessert wine. So I don't want it too superbly sweet, but I don't want, you know, absolutely dry either. So I think it's a fun wine to try. So expand your horizons. Ask your, you know, thoughtful wine merchant, what do they recommend? What do they have? What's new? What's unusual? I think there's sometimes a belief that unusual wines are from that esoteric point of view. Oh, that's really great. You're keeping alive that rare varietal. How charming. However, I think there's a really great reason to produce you know, unusual white wines, and I like to take them out of the E category, the esoterica category, because it makes it so rarefied or just unusual that you wouldn't even think of drinking it, but more of a museum-esque kind of wine versus something that expands our palate experience and really goes forth for that, you know, part of life that we want to make, that joie de vivre, that joy of living. So for more wine reviews, please go to jamesthewineguy.com. Please subscribe to my videos on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, Google+, and now Pinterest. Salut!